Hello and welcome to the Scribeberry demo. Today I'm going to show you how to use Scribeberry. To begin, once you log into our app on scribeberry.com, this is the layout that you will see. On the left-hand side here, you can see scribes. Scribes are your notes. So in here, you would be able to sort either all your notes, certain folders, or view old archive notes. The middle pane over here allows you to actually view the note inside the folder. And then the right-hand side is where all the work happens. On the left-hand side here, you have what are called templates. So these are certain note-taking styles. You can have your own templates, or you can view globally accessible templates in the template hub. For example, this is a soap note template here. Macros. So macros are more akin to dot phrases that you can use, very similar to other dictation softwares. Essentially, you can have trigger words, you can have spoken trigger words, and it can expand out into what you want it to be, and this can be used in different points of the application. We have forms, which is a feature that allows you to fill out forms. And then we have agents, which you can actually provision to do your notes or forms for you, more as pre-intake or to screen patients or to just complete forms. So I'll go into all of this in more detail. At the bottom here, you have the ability to add an EMR integration. We support any web-based EMRs, as well as Accuro. You can access our Refer and Earn program. You can modify your settings, security settings, integrations, and memories. And then you can access 24/7 help as well as access your profile. To get started, what you would do is either hit the blue button up here and choose one of the use cases, or start from the quick action menu here. Our most popular feature is the in-person or virtual visit that allows you to use the AI Scribe. So to begin, I hit the in-person visit. Up here, I can select the type of note that I would like. We have over 200 templates. You can create your own, which I will go through. In addition to that, you can also view different templates in the template hub. So hit Soap Note and start recording. And that's the basic workflow. Once you select your template, you can select the language of the conversation if you would like, as well as enable live translation. So over here, I have a from language and a to language set. You can have identifying speakers on or off if you want the transcript diarized. And then when you're ready to go, you hit record and start. Once your visit is complete, or even during the visit, you can actually use this box on the right-hand side to add in extra context. So let's say I want to put in information about my patient. Maybe I want to put in information that I don't want to verbalize. Maybe I also want to put in specific instructions about how I want this note to come out. So, please ensure the note is in bullet point format, for example. In addition to this, you can also attach files. So if you click the file icon, you can upload files from your EMR or your computer in this case. And then when you're ready, you can hit generate to create your note. Before I hit generate, just a quick note, you can have multiple visits on the go, which makes this really useful for things like urgent care or emergency room settings. For example, let's say I didn't finish this visit and I created a new scribe. My old visit will always be saved as a draft. That way, if I have multiple asynchronous visits on the go, I can always navigate between them, come back, and finish my note at a later time. Now for completion, I'm going to hit generate here and generate out my note. Once my note generates, you'll see here, it followed my instructions. I have 4 buttons at the bottom here. One is to copy this to the clipboard, at which point it's copied and you can paste it back into your EMR. The second is to edit or manually edit the note. Manually editing the note is possible, but there are more efficient ways to do this, and I'll show you that too. You can export this as a PDF, which is very useful if you're creating patient handouts, let's say, or you can tie this to secure email and email it to your patient. So those are 4 options. If you have our integration enabled, there will be a 5th option here that lets you send the note directly to your EMR. For example, with Accuro, with whom we have direct API integrations, that button would appear here, and you would be able to press that and select the patient and send it directly to the EMR. If you want to go back and build on this visit, it is now saved as a scribe. You can always toggle back to the medical context tab, hit record, continue a visit, start a new visit, and the note will come out after. So those are different workflows. Once your note is complete, another good use case here is this bottom bar. So this bottom talkback bar allows you to chain notes or chain documentations or make massive edits en masse. So for example, let's say I want to make an edit to this note. I could either say or type, this soap note was too long, make it shorter. Or I could have said, change all the he's to she's. Don't do it in bullet point, do it in narrative format. Essentially, you can make massive edits after using natural language. Another use case of this bottom bar is to chain your notes. So for example, take this initial soap note and write me a referral to physio for a month. So it will take the original context, the conversation history, and write that referral for me. A third use case is to actually use this to ask relevant clinical questions. So for example, if I wanted to ask, according to the Ottawa ankle rules, should I x-ray a month? So what we will do is pull from our backend, and it will provide possible suggestion for you to use based on the case. So for this, obviously it lists the Ottawa ankle rules, and then it kind of gives you a suggestion here. You don't have enough detail to definitively apply the Ottawa ankle rules and to clarify certain things. The system is gated in such a way that it will suggest and always provide source data and evidence to kind of back this up. So if you ask for sources, if you ask for where this data is coming from, it will provide that for you. A fourth use case is to actually translate or create patient handouts. So if I want to say, create a patient handout for Aman, he speaks French, it will take that data and now create a personalized patient handout for Aman in French for him to read through. So these are the different use cases of this bottom bar. It's quite popular. You can also attach files down here. You can chain notes to other templates. So let's say I want to actually use one of my other templates. I can come down here and say, transform this into, and then I hit the / button, and it lets me pick a different soap note. So maybe this one is a more expanded soap note. So it will take that smaller soap note and maybe build on it a little bit. Obviously, there's not a lot of data here, so it can't expand a whole lot, but it's there. So that's basic functionality. In terms of other basic features, so we do have online visits. The difference here is that when you press record, it will actually ask you to select a tab. That tab that you select should be your Zoom or your Google Meet or your virtual telehealth platform. When you select that tab and hit share, the audio will be captured from both sides. So it will be captured from your mic as well as from the tab audio that's coming in from the other side. So you can wear your headphones, you can have a conversation, and both sides will be captured to ultimately generate your note. A third feature is dictation. So although the point of the software is to try and prevent old school dictation, a lot of people still have preference to dictate, which makes sense if you want meticulously detailed notes. So what you can do is select dictation and actually come in here, record. Today I saw a 30-year-old male with an ankle sprain. You will see a rough transcript appear, and then when you hit generate, that transcript will be cleaned up and you will get the dictation out. Fourth use case here is to just ask Scribeberry. So you can actually start using Scribeberry by asking it a question. For example, I'm going to use the Ottawa ankle rules again. What are the Ottawa what are the Ottawa equal rules? And what it will do is pull that up for you. And it will give you those rules. You can ask for sources, you can ask for cited data, and it will provide that for you too. The last use case is transcribe audio. When you click this button, what happens is it asks you to upload a file. A lot of our users work offline, or they work in environments where internet is not readily accessible. So what you can do is take that offline file, either on your dictaphone or your phone, upload it to Scribeberry, and actually transcribe that audio. So for example, if I click here, I can upload a file, and it will give me the raw transcript. From that transcript, I can create a SOAP note, a consult, whatever else you might need. So that's all the essential use cases so far. However, there's more. So templates. Templates allow you to customize the style of your note, which is really useful if you have specific requirements for a note. So for example, if you want to do a certain type of consult, or if you want a SOAP note structured a particular way. For this example, I'm going to take a SOAP note that we previously created. And I'm going to use that as a guide to create my template. When you're creating templates, you come into My Templates and you hit plus New Template. Over here, what you can do is either manually or automatically generate your own templates. Preferred approach for most is to autofill from one of your notes. Either upload one of your notes from, let's say, your EMR or a note you really like, or paste in your note into here. And then when you hit generate, Scribeberry will learn the style, the structure, how that note is, and it will actually give that to you as a structured template for you to review. So as you can see here, it identified that that note I put in was a SOAP note. It has the headings in here, subjective, objective assessment plan. It has the instructions on how I want that note to come out, which you can actually edit. So if you don't want concise bullet points, you can change this. If you don't want the diagnosis or differential in the assessment section, you can change that too. Essentially, this allows you a little more fine-tuning from how you want that note to come out. Down here, if you hit Generate Preview, you can actually view a preview based on some mock data on what that note would look like. So this note preview here is generating. Once complete, it will actually show you what that SOAP note would look like with a mock consultation. You can see there. And then once you're happy with it, you can either create it to use on your own, or you can publish it to the Template Hub. You can anonymize your name or publish it with your name. But essentially, once you create that template, you can use it over and over again to generate notes in your style in the Scribe. The Template Hub offers endless amounts of templates across different specialties. You can sort them by most used, most liked. You can even favorite your own and select them and save them. You can take templates that others have created and build on them or edit them for your own use. But yeah, the customization is endless. Another feature to customize things in a way that you want is called memories. So memories can be found under the Settings tab. When you go to the Memories section, what you will find is the ability to create what are called memories. So memories are global rules that apply across all your templates and all your notes, no matter what. When these rules are in place, they will take precedence over any templates as well. So for example, if I want all my notes in a certain narrative format, I can add that here. If I want all my notes in bullet point format, I can add that as well. Memories can be turned on or off and manually inputted. Alternatively, if you go back to a note that you have, so just up here, you can see this, this note here. If I go to this note that I have, just modify it. So let's say I edit it and delete the plan section and save this. What you'll notice is that Scribeberry will actually suggest a memory for you to save. And you can choose to save this, edit it, or cancel this. If I save this memory, it will now show up in my memory section, and any note I generate will have the plan section omitted. It's important to only put things here that you want 100% with certainty to apply to all your notes, or else you can run into issues if, for example, you're trying to generate a SOAP note with a plan section omitted. So that's memories as well, and it just allows an additional layer to globally customize all your notes. So macros are like dot phrases. If you are used to traditional dictation, if you either say insert your trigger word or you type in this trigger word anywhere in the app, it will actually replace that with this expanded content. So for example, I know this is not a physical exam here, but just to give you an example, if let's say I come back to my Scribe and I type in my trigger word and press tab, or if I were to say insert physical exam, it would replace that with this text. So this can be useful if you want to put pre-templated snippets of notes or macros into your existing notes, or if you want to put in conversations, handouts. Really the use cases are up to you, but you can create your own macros and use them throughout the application. Forms. So forms has been a game changer. It's one of our most popular features now. And what forms allows you to do is to actually upload your own form or select one from the list. For example, if I want to fill out, let's say, an AISH application or a CRA disability tax credit certificate, I press fill this form. In here, I can put in data from my EMR, I can put in text that I type out, I can record a conversation with my patient. Essentially, when I'm done and hit generate, that form will auto-fill out. So I'm going to put in some sample data here, and I'm going to show you what that would look like. Okay, so I have some sample data here. I'm going to hit generate. As you can see there, the DTC has started to come out. Now, there's not a lot of information here because the information that I gave was not completely relevant to this form. However, you can see that it filled out sections that it had the data for. Now, from here, you can see that it missed certain sections. So what I can actually do is, one, either manually tick these off and edit them, and I can edit anything else that it filled out, or I can actually come down here and say, hey, you missed the eliminating section. Please fill it out. My patient has no restrictions in this section. And so what you can do is actually talk back to your forms, which is really useful if you're filling out detailed forms that require long paragraphs. You can say, hey, please put more detail in a certain section. You can say, hey, please shorten certain areas. Please fill out the sections that you have missed. And it will take that in the previous context and actually revise the form using natural language. So now it took my answer, and as you can see here, it filled out that section on eliminating with no. You can continue to do this. Once you're done your form, you can download it, you can print it, and then how you use it is up to you, but you can take it back to your EMR by uploading it there, or you can print it off and give it to your patient. The next feature here is agents. So agents is a new feature that we've launched. And what agents are, and this is pretty unique to Scribeberry, is it actually allows you to autofill forms or autocomplete notes before patients ever come in. Now, for example, if I were to come in here and activate agents, when you open the Agents tab, what you will see is a basic overview of what agents are. So agents are like AI assistants that you have hired that interview your patients before you ever see them and deliver notes to you for your review. We have an agent marketplace with a few pre-existing agents, ones that will fill out certain forms, like the AISH form or the CRA disability tax credit form. We have a special auth one. There is a mental Telehealth, TBQ, as well as a motor vehicle form. However, you can actually create your own agents as well. If I go to the Create Agent tab, I can give my agent a name. I can pick the type of agent, a history taker versus a front office staff, which is coming soon. And then I can give that agent an opening statement and instructions on how I want it to behave. I can give it knowledge about my clinic, and I can select the type of note or form that I wanted to create at the end. Once this agent is created, it will show up in your Agents tab. From here, it will have a phone number and a link. Your patients can actually call this phone number at any time, and this agent will do its role and take a history from your patient through voice. So it will actually talk to your patient, it will respond appropriately, it will direct the conversation and collect all the data needed to fill out, for example, the CRA DTC form. Again, there's multiple ways to do this. Your patient can call this number, you can send them a direct link, or you can actually schedule a call to your patient. So for example, you can put in your patient's name, enter their phone number, schedule a time, enter some information about them, and your agent will take all of that into context, call the patient, and actually have a conversation for you. Once that conversation is complete, what you will see back in your Scribeberry account is the actual final note filled out, or if you were doing a template, you would actually see a final note. From here, you can always build on that. You can modify the form or the note, or you can carry on with a follow-up visit. So it makes it really useful for pre-charting, pre-interviewing patients, completing forms asynchronously so you don't have to manually do that work. But agents are globally available. For now, they do cost 25 cents a minute. However, we are looking at changing that and perhaps increasing free usage for our pro users. The next thing I'm going to go through is integrations. So the first integration that I'm going to talk about is our global EMR web-based integration. Through our Chrome extension, you can actually integrate Scribeberry with any web-based EMR in the world. You can pull, you can push, you can interoperably move data between systems, and so this becomes really useful and stops you from having to tab switch inside your EMR. We do have a dedicated video on this, but I am going to go into how to set it up and how to use it in this video. To start, click on the Add Integration tab here on the left inside Scribeberry, and click on the Try It Now button. Once you click here, it will ask you to put in your EMR and whether or not you use it through a web browser, as well as your email address. You can request access, and once you're granted access, we will send it to you. Once you get the extension access email to you, you would download it from the Chrome store. So in this case, you can see here, I already have it added, but you can add it to your Scribeberry account. And then once you have it installed, you will actually see it inside your application. Once you have the extension installed, you should see a floating side panel here on the right-hand side. This floating side panel allows you to use the extension in a minimally intrusive way. To go through it, the top button here allows you to record your visits with your patient. Toggling the record screen on and off would allow you to do an online or a virtual visit versus an in-person visit. If toggled on and you hit record, it'll ask you to select where the audio is coming from. So for example, if you have Google Meet open, you would select that tab and it would prompt you to use that. The paperclip icon here allows you to attach files or screenshots directly from your EMR system. The Smart Pull button allows you to extract any data on the page that you're on and use it as context in your visit. Down here, we have the Open Scribeberry side panel functionality. This allows you to open the larger side panel, which lets you see your notes. You have a Get Help button in case you do get stuck, and then the X is to actually close the extension out. So to demo some of these capabilities, I'm going to keep both of these open. By no means do you actually have to keep the smaller and bigger side panel open. However, just for clarity, it will help. I'm going to start with just recording a conversation. I hit record. Hey, how's it going today? What brings you in today? When you start recording a conversation, you'll see 3 tabs. You have Notes, where you can actually type in data if you'd like. You have Transcript, where you can actually see the transcript as it's happening. And then you have Results, which is where your notes will come out. Now again, this tab can be closed. However, just for clarity, I'm going to keep it open. You can highlight certain things in your EMR directly and press the paperclip icon to attach it. And as you can see there, that has been included as context in the Scribe. You can also screenshot. So for example, I'm going to select this screen that I see right now, screenshot it, and it will actually attach that and extract information from that for your visit. Or more efficiently, you can press the Smart Pull button. And what this will do, whatever page you're on, whether it's the patient's medication tab or their problem list, it will pull that into the Scribe to use as context. So you can see here, it pulled in patient information, it pulled in their contact information, visit statistics, recent medical encounters, as well as data on that. Now that I have a bit of history in here, I don't have the greatest transcript, but that's okay, just for demonstration purposes. I can actually go ahead and generate a note. So this little icon here lets you select a template and generate a note. I'm going to generate a basic SOAP note. You can see the SOAP note here on the right-hand side. Again, so you can see that SOAP note there generating on the right-hand side. Once it's complete, you have a few different options. You can drag and drop that note into your EMR. Now you may have noticed a problem. This is a subjective field, but it actually dropped my entire SOAP note into here, which is not good. Instead, what you can do, and what you might have noticed, is this little berry icon. So this is called our Smart Push feature. When you see this berry icon, you will see this berry icon when selecting a field inside your EMR. When you see that berry icon, you can simply hit the Fill Note button. In this case, it's going to fill the SOAP note. And what it's going to do is fill in each distinctive field by itself. So as you can see here, there wasn't a lot of data there, but it put in my basic SOAP note, and now my note is done. I can sign it, submit it, and move on. The Smart Push button allows you to fill distinct fields separately, and the drag and drop functionality lets you drag and drop these notes into your EMR. Again, if the side panel is closed, you can always hit the Done button, move on to your next visit. If you prefer it open, it allows you a little more fine control and granularity over your scribes to type the notes in the detail, and you can actually talk back as well. So for example, you can say, please create a patient handout, and it will actually take the previous data and use that to create, let's say, a handout, a visit summary, whatever else you might need. So that's the Chrome extension, but essentially allows you to push or pull data from your EMR, regardless of which EMR you use. We support any Canadian Web EMR. To connect to Accuro, head over to your settings page and go into the Integrations tab. From here, you will see Accuro listed as an integration. When you click on Accuro, click on Connect. When you click on Connect, you will need some credentials provided to you by Accuro in order to set up the integration. This can be done through Accuro's Marketplace Vendor Form. Once you fill that out, a request gets sent to Accuro, and it takes them approximately 7 business days to complete that process. From here, once you have your credentials, set up your Accuro integration, and then you'd be able to select the default office as well as a default provider. Once your integration is set up, whenever you launch a visit inside of Scribeberry, you will be able to select the appointments from your calendar. So I'll go back. On May 8th, this is a fake patient here, fictional encounter, but I can select a patient and I can choose to pull in any information I want about this patient into my Scribe. Once I select that patient, I can go ahead and have a conversation or input any data. And when I'm done my visit and generate out my note, I can then push this note directly back into Accuro using the Send to Accuro button. So as you can see there, it has the patient selected. I can change the letter title if I would like and send it to the EMR. And now this note is directly in Accuro without me having to copy and paste. I can always come up here, select the patient, and choose what to include or not include in future notes as well. You can also change the patient for future encounters as well. The Accuro integration is in its early stages. We have a lot planned in terms of what we would like to do with this, but feel free to use it in its current format.